And talking about oops, I think it's another interesting thing. OpenAI, and it's not the actual announcement I found interesting, but OpenAI, I guess in Sam Altman, Sam, let's see if I can get his name.
Sam Altman, yep.
Sam Altman, thank you. Had an interview where he basically talked about how they sort of picked this $200 a month price for the ChatGPT Pro out of thin air, and it looks like they now are saying they're probably still losing money on it. Um, that's interesting and noteworthy from a if you're an OpenAI follower, because of course they are continuing to burn cash and struggling to lose money, and the fact that they can't be profitable on a $200 per month per user product, you kind of go, holy crap, right? But I think what is more interesting from my perspective, if I kind of put my CIO lens hat on, is it again, it speaks to the general lack of nuance that we have in the enterprise right now, that we view this everything through this sort of one-dimensional lens, right? Microsoft has their co-pilots out for $30 a month, or Salesforce charging everything by conversation, like everything is the same. And I think what the big takeaway here isn't that, oh my God, AI is so expensive, it's never going to be affordable. The big takeaway here is who buys a $200 a month per user per month service?
Hmm.
The absolute crazy power user. So it's not surprising to me that they are blasting the crap out of it and are just consuming a massive amount of resources. But if you go to the average enterprise, you're not going to have that one-dimensional view. You're going to have a handful of these power users, and you're going to have a whole bunch of people that use an AI tool once in a while to do some narrow-banded thing, and then everything in between, right? And so as you are architecting your systems, particularly those that are being consumed internally, you need to be thinking about all these different stratas and how you then orchestrate and architect your solutions around that. And I think that's the big takeaway, is that there's just not enough conversation right now about all the various use cases and the implications of these use cases on cost, structure, governance, all of it.
Yeah, to me, having this $200 a month pro plan, the way that it's currently constructed, is a little bit like Amazon Web Services saying, hey, we're going to give you all of our services for $200 a month and see what you can do with it. Guess what? Their developers are going to find a way to spend a lot more money than that. They will spend millions of dollars, quite literally, if you give them the fire hose to be able to pour every possible service you have across every single bit of data that they have. Developers will figure out how to make that happen, and that's going to be extremely expensive. So I find this pricing idea that you would throw out a $200 a month plan and just hope to make money extremely naive, at a level that frankly no MBA trained marketer would ever do, because you would first think about, how do I control my total cost of ownership? And then cost plus pricing is a very immature way of doing this in the first place. But at least that gives you an idea of where your line is, of where you have to be above to make money. And then you figure out where your actual value proposition is. And in this case, you're looking at the super users who may want to pay $200, $500, $1,000 a month, because they are looking at this as platform as a service, not as a SaaS product that costs $10 a month. And then you make some sort of logical pricing decision of where you should actually be. It is pretty obvious, based on this conversation that Sam Altman had, well, I guess these X posts, that none of that happened. And this is still very much an immature company at the end of the day. OpenAI's technology, fantastic, because they have this philosophy of how to look at AI, which is honestly very good very, compared to competitors. But the pricing, the business model, the actual how do we turn this into a grown-up organization, obviously that infrastructure is not there yet.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's very, and look, and I sort of feel for them. I mean, it's a very challenging spot. They're creating
Yeah.
an entire industry, an entire market, and they did, to a certain extent. Well, I mean, in fairness, right? They released this without even knowing that was what was really going to happen. It was
Mm-hmm.
meant to be like much more of a research release anyway. But
Right.
but this was technology backing into a business case, and that's always fraught. And so I think it is interesting. And I think OpenAI. I think they're actually at a little bit of a crossroads here because it is very clear that the original plan, or what I took to be the original plan of them having this partnership with Microsoft, and really Microsoft became sort of the monetization engine. That looks like it's under threat, in
Hmm.
part because of the relationship, in part because Microsoft has their own broader ambitions, and like every other major tech player is investing in their own capabilities around this. I think OpenAI's best play is to figure out how to successfully be a platform player where they're providing infrastructure to others, but they seem to not be able to figure out which way they want to play. They spend a ton of time putting out what I would consider consumer grade. I mean, this is obviously not consumer in that it's a very high price point, but this idea of direct to the consumer kind of an approach, they have
Hmm.
not really cracked the code on the enterprise. And I think that's a losing model because I think, I don't know if it's next year or 5 years from now, but at some point it seems very clear to me that AI at a consumer level is just baked into something else I'm buying. I'm getting it with my Apple iPhone, or I'm getting it with another service. The idea of paying for AI as this independent thing, I think there's a short runway on that. I think the real use cases here are going to be enterprise, some places where people can do a calculation, say I invest $200 a month and I get $1,000 a month in value out of it. That's a no brainer. And I don't think they've cracked that. And I don't know if they know how to go there. And so, we'll see. I certainly am not counting them out by any stretch. I think the technology is fabulous and amazing and has truly already been transformative, but I don't know if they figured out a business model yet.
Frankly, the problem I see with OpenAI isn't that they're burning money. Frankly, I think that given the progress they're making at a big picture, holistic tech level, I think it's fine that they're burning money because Meta spent like $20 billion last year on virtual reality to get zero out of it. OpenAI is obviously making some sort of progress and spending, frankly, less than that. So like the big tech has the money to spend on AI. It's just that the issue for me is simply what is the expectation for OpenAI? If you want OpenAI to keep innovating at, with an open pocketbook, that's actually fine. I think just have that expectation, but trying to create these products and having these obviously unprofitable price points and poorly thought out outputs that are going out, like that to me doesn't make very much sense. I think OpenAI is really bad at pricing and product, frankly. They should really focus on just creating fantastic new services because they obviously are a fantastic research lab. But if they want to be a company, like this is not the way to do it. Like that's not why you should be investing in OpenAI right now for this year, probably even next year. They are still, at cutting edge technology and doing amazing things for services that are coming out across video, probably audio, probably even other senses that they may be thinking about at this point on their pursuit of artificial this generalized artificial intelligence, which I'm kind of iffy about in general overall, but I think has been a very useful approach for OpenAI to create the services that they've created.
Yeah, I do think it's going to be interesting. They actually made some noise on the AGI front this last week as well. We didn't even put it on the list because it's like, okay. But I think it's interesting. I think, I think if nothing else, they're a barometer. And like I said, I found it useful because as a CIO, it helps you start to see where that stratification is breaking down.